Okay, we are live. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar on the power of unsolicited customer opinion, which we'll talk a little bit more about later in the fashion and luxury industries. We hope that this webinar gives you a sense of how brands can benefit from intelligent data and how they can use it to monitor their online presence and their brand health. My name is Jakob Goldfarn. I'm the head of business development at DMR, and I'm based in South Africa, Johannesburg. Michalis, our other presenter, who I'll introduce shortly, is based in London, along with Justin. Before we begin, we're going to be running a few polls throughout this webinar. If you go to the Interactions tab on your right, you'll see the first poll there. And the idea is just to test our polling skills, so to see if you understand the power of AR. And we'll just give you a minute to answer those questions. Which of the following is a true capability of AR? It can create new recipes based on a cultural flavor profile. It can predict fashion trends by analyzing past data and current events. And it can compose symphonies that adapts to a listener's mood. So we'll just give everyone a few more seconds to answer. Please participate and vote if you haven't. We won't judge you if you get the answer wrong.
Jakob, I think there might be people still joining, so shall we give them another minute?
Sure.
Justin says he's on, but I can't see him. He probably joined as a participant.
Not a problem. I'm sure we can help him get online.
Yeah, maybe Slavika can send him the link again.
Perfect. Cool. So maybe just to start again for those who've joined, my name's Jakob. I'm the head of business development at DMR. We're looking forward to telling you a bit more about what DMR does, and specifically the power of unsolicited customer opinion in the fashion and luxury spaces, and how you can use technology to understand what people are saying about you online and to monitor your brand health. A quick introduction before we go into introducing our speakers, we've run a quick poll on the capabilities of artificial intelligence in the Interactions tab you'll see on the right. Thanks to everyone who voted. The correct answer is all of the above. AR these days is both predictive and generative, which is why there's a huge hype, and hopefully Michalis will tell us a bit more about that later. And AI is crucial to what we do and to how we monitor unsolicited customer opinion, because no one can physically read millions and billions of the posts and the data that we see online, and artificial intelligence helps us to read those posts for our clients. So just to introduce Michalis Markel and Justin Steed, who are our presenters today. Michalis is the founder and CEO of DMR, which is also known as Digital MR. He was educated as an aerospace engineer, but never went to space, didn't realize that dream. And he's actually spent his entire career in market research, consulting, and data analytics. Before he founded DMR, he was with Synovate, one of the top 5 global market research agencies. For Synovate, he ran their Central Eastern European division, out of Warsaw, where he oversaw the running of 12 countries. And thereafter, he was sent to Chicago and moved to Chicago to start the first global online market research division for Synovate. After that, he moved to London and founded DMR. And he's going to tell us a bit more about why he founded DMR and what DMR does. We're also joined by Justin Steed, hopefully, if he's managed to get online. Justin is the chairman of 5 different fashion brands. He's the former CEO of Radley London, as well as of Watches of Switzerland. And I hear he can put on quite a show, so put on your seatbelts. And he's advised me to let everyone know to have tissues on hand. We're really grateful to have him with us. And Michalis will share a bit more about Justin later on. We'll have a discussion. If you have any questions at any point, please post in the chat. We're going to be addressing all questions, and we look forward to answering your questions at the end of the webinar. And yeah, please direct them to Justin or Michalis, and we'll facilitate those later. Over to you, Michalis.
Thank you very much, Yakov. I'm still hopeful that I will one day go to space. There are some rockets I hear that they are aiming to be on the moon by 2025. I'll give it a few more years. We'll see. We'll see how DMR and Listening 24/7 is doing. But just while I go ahead with the presentation and the sharing of the dashboards, Yakov, maybe you can connect with Justin and see if you can help him join. I think there's a browser issue. Firefox doesn't work.
I'm pleased to let you know that Justin has joined. Justin, can you hear us?
Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you. Sorry about that slight delay.
Excellent. All right.
No problem at all.
Okay. Thank you so much. Also, so we are aiming to end this webinar by 1:45 UK time. And we hope to have 10 minutes at the end for questions. So as Yakov said, please post your questions in the chat box, and Yakov will transfer them to Justin and I to respond. Also, I want to say that this is by design a smaller webinar. It's the first one that we're doing, and we wanted to learn a little bit how this works and what works best. And so thank you for being here, and thank you for helping us fine-tune this way of engagement. So I founded DMR because there was something really obvious out there that wasn't addressed by my industry at the time, which was market research. And that's the unstructured data, which is text, audio, images, or video. And it's more than 90% of all the data available to us. So the other 10% is structured. It's numbers in tables. And what's very interesting in this context is that all the social media posts, the text, the images, and the video, all these opinions of people about brands and about organizations and countries and political parties and all that, all of it is unstructured data. And we coined this difference. We call it the unsolicited customer opinion versus the solicited customer opinion, which is when we ask questions, when we use surveys and focus group discussions. And there's a paradox that made it all even more interesting for us, and it energized us, and it made us want to find a solution and address this paradox, which is that more than 90% of the market research budgets and the insights budgets are spent on solicited customer opinion, which is surveys and focus groups. and less than 10% on unsolicited, which is social media listening and analytics mainly, social media listening or phone calls to call centers. And only 10% of the budgets is spent on 90% of the information, which does not make sense at all. My sense is that there will be an equilibrium at some point whereby we will be at 50% budget spent on solicited versus 50% on unsolicited. So we founded DMR. We spent a few years doing R&D, which was funded by the UK government and the European Union, and developed our own AI technology because we couldn't find third-party technology that could do an accurate enough job in tagging text with sentiment or with topics, adding intelligence, in other words, to raw data, and producing insights for businesses and other organizations so that we can help them solve business problems. All right, so how does that work? Well, I guess I should clarify that since we couldn't find any third-party technology, I went around the world meeting with other companies that had some, social media monitoring capability, but the problem was the accuracy, always the accuracy. It was 50-60% sentiment accuracy or topic accuracy, and that is why we went ahead and developed Listening 24/7. Now, what did we develop? We developed more than 100 AI models that are predictive models, and we also did a gap analysis between our models and GPT-4, which is the largest and the best large language model in the world, trained on 1.8 trillion parameters. And I believe OpenAI and Microsoft have spent more than $1 billion to create GPT-4. We did a gap analysis and on sentiment for banks and alcoholic beverages in English, and our model was by 27 percentage points more accurate than GPT 3.5 Turbo, which is the predecessor of GPT-4. It's the one that you get for free when you ask ChatGPT questions. And we were by 11 percentage points more accurate than GPT-4, which is the better model. We position ourselves and we coined this space, intelligent data as a service, as opposed to software as a service. In other words, we're not a tool. We don't ask you to create the gathering queries for social media posts based on keywords, because we know it is very difficult and you end up with a lot of noise due to homonyms. The classic example of you want to gather posts for Apple computers and you end up with posts for Apple, the juice or the fruit. And that's okay, because if you know a homonym exists, you may be able to eliminate it. But there are homonyms that you don't know of, like Apple, a teenager girl who is the daughter of Gwyneth Paltrow, the actress. And there's a lot of chatter about her on the internet. So we take this headache away from you. That's what intelligent data as a service means. We create the gathering query, and the next thing you know is you get data, intelligent data, on any dashboard you like. So we're dashboard agnostic on any platform you like. It could be Tableau, it could be Power BI, it could be anything else. So and that's what we're going to show you today. What we aim for is to have a sentiment, brand, or topic accuracy of over 80%. Most often it's over 90%, and that is in literally any language. We have done it with more than 30 languages up to now. It takes us about a week or two to add a new language. And finally, I already mentioned this, we can integrate surveys and focus groups with social media listening, and we can hook the questions that you ask in a survey with the topics that our AI can tag millions of posts with those topics which relate to your questions. Very quickly, the setup, I will not go through the details, but I just want you to note that there are 3 different AI models. A noise model that eliminates the noise from the homonyms, like Apple the teenager. A sentiment model, which tags text in any language with positive, negative, or neutral sentiment towards a brand. And today we will show you some data on fashion and luxury brands. And then a topic model, which tags for topics, subtopics, and attributes. And then in the end, we visualize it in any way you like, on any platform you like. This can be done as a one-off with, let's say, 12 months historical data. You can think of it as any market research project, but instead of running a survey, you gather posts for the past 6 or 12 months. But you can also run it on a daily basis or weekly or basis. The Listening 24/7 gathers all these posts from everywhere on the planet, from tens of thousands of sites on the planet in any language, and then with the appropriate AI, it tags it for noise or relevance, sentiment, and topics, and then you get a visualization of it. All right, so this is maybe I should also explain a very important composite score that you will hear us use, the net sentiment score, which is coined and trademarked by DMR. It is the mirror score to the net promoter score, and it ranges between -100 and +100. So if all the posts about a brand are negative, you will get a score of -100. If it's 50-50, positive and negative, you get 0. And if it's everything is positive, you get 100. All right. So now I will show you one dashboard. I'll show you some data, and then I will bring Justin in to discuss the data with me for the next 20 minutes. Okay. So you're looking at a Tableau dashboard with lots and lots of fashion brands from different verticals. You see some that you may recognize: Lululemon, Alexander McQueen, Burberry, Vivienne Westwood. But then there are some smaller brands as well. And you see here that we have many product categories. It's 182,000 posts from these sources that you see here, from Instagram, Facebook, X, News, which is editorial. So if I unclick consumer and corporate here, I only get to see the 13,000 news posts. But then you have consumer, what customers say about these brands, and corporate means it's the posts that the brands themselves post, usually about themselves. Here you see the sentiment, 65% positive for all of them together, 27% neutral, 8% negative. And down here you have the topic. So this is 3 AI models used here to eliminate the noise so that you can have all the relevant posts, to tag for sentiment, and to tag for topics. So this is a drill down dashboard. So let me show you one drill down path to some insight. I will click on, let's find an interesting topic down here. Promotion, collaboration, sustainability, controversy. How about controversy? I'll click on controversy. There's 1,584 posts. And you see that Kite Baby, which is a baby clothing brand, has the biggest share of voice. If I click on negative, most of it is negative by definition. The topic is controversy. And then Kite Baby itself, and then I can go and view some posts. You see, there are quite a few. So we're looking at the top 20, bottom 20 based on likes. Kite Baby. So there are quite a few on TikTok, which is one learning that I would like everyone to take away. This is a TikTok video where she says, "I'm sorry, what? This woman worked for a 14 million revenue company, and she was basically fired. And they screw her over for caring for her adopted son who is in the ICU." So this was Kite is cancelled, and you see all the posts down here. The point about this is that brands have lost control with the proliferation of social media listening. So you need some sort of technology and access to what people are saying in order to manage brand reputation. In this TikTok video clip, there is nothing from Kite Baby, so there is no response. It's also which is bad for the brand because they did not engage and they let people do whatever they want with their own brand. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Justin Stead, who will discuss with me these results that we will be looking at. Justin, as Jakub said, chairs 5 fashion brands. He's the former CEO of Bradley London and Watches of Switzerland before that. And he's currently also the CEO of Runway, a consulting company in the US that supports fashion brands. Justin, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this webinar.
Hi, Michaelis, and glad to be here.
Wonderful. So, what do you think of this situation here with Kite Baby? What are your thoughts about the fact that they didn't respond to something negative? Is this going to harm them?
Well, I think first of all, I think your introduction about the concept of what DMR is building here is so relevant to modern is one word, but the cutting edge of understanding where your customer is and sentiment and anything around your brand. And although probably for that particular example or that particular brand, there might be 95% of good sentiment around that brand in other categories of the analysis. However, as we've all seen over the years, it doesn't take much for a brand to take 1 or 2 really negative situations, engagement, or interaction for sentiment to change very, very quickly. So that's an example of something that the company possibly could have managed better. We don't know all the details, of course, but if something goes negative very quickly, or the potential to go negative, it's an absolute must for senior management, but also customer engagement teams or marketing teams to be aware of that sentiment. And this is a clear example. Your brand can be so affected so quickly by negative sentiment, spreading like wildfire across social media platforms. So the earlier that a management team or brand owners can be aware of anything potentially brewing, it is obviously so much better to get involved, to be proactive, and whether it's a customer or an employee, to look to remedy the situation in a positive way, to keep the brand in a positive light of engagement for customers. So this is a clear example where something's gone wrong. They haven't reacted, and that could have very long-term ramifications for the business and for the value of that business.
Thank you, Justin. At this point, I would like to ask Slavika to start the first proper poll, and we'll give it a minute for you to, or a bit less than that, to answer. And Jakub, maybe you can let me know when I can continue with the next example, if you have visibility on how many people are answering the poll. Okay. Yakov,
Yeah.
shall I continue?
Sure. Do you want me to share some of the answers? It seems that
No, I mean, we can do this at the end. So the next example I want to show you is a ranking of all the brands. This is a different dashboard. It's called the query dashboard, and there are data dimensions like brands, topics, sources, and sentiment. If I click on brands and pick a measure, you have the volume of posts, the share of voice, and the net sentiment score. So here we see that all of them are in positive territory. The brand with the highest net sentiment score is Little Sleepies, the same category as Kite Baby. You see Kite Baby is down here with 66% positive, and the ones with the lowest net sentiment score are Flattered, to Team, Eid, and ATP Atelier. And you can learn a lot by looking at this, especially if you go to this view here where you can click on topics, and I can look at monthly, and then you can basically scroll down and look at the various brands by topic, and the color coding basically shows to you if it's green, the net sentiment score is positive, and if it's yellow or beige or orange, it is negative. And we could go to, there you go. Kite Baby is here, and you see that whatever happened, the boycott, the clothing options, the company policies and controversy. So you see these posts were tagged with 4 different topics by the AI. There's one, the controversy got 1,227 posts, and it's minus 100. So all of them are negative. So that's how you can drill down and spot at one glance. Otherwise, they have been doing quite okay. You see, everything is green, but this one misstep, we don't know what the harm was for the business. All right, now I will switch gears and show you the actual brand health tracking dashboard, which at the end of this seminar, at the end of this webinar, you will have an opportunity to sign up and get your own brand health dashboard complimentary. So this is, now we're looking at the sleepwear. So we have 7 brands here, and Baby Mori has the best net sentiment score. We're looking at the past 7 days compared to the previous 7 days. We can also look at monthly data, daily data, or weekly data. And so you have the net sentiment score. To the right, you have the buzz, the total volume of posts, and where Baby Mori has only 3 posts, so it's easy to get 3 positive posts, but it's much more difficult for Little Sleepies with 680 to get to a high score. So 61 is not bad. It's a pretty good score. Let me just refresh this. One of the triggers for us to create this dashboard was actually Justin, who is on this call today. He asked me at the time, can I get a dashboard that would allow me to have, a first-hand view of what is going on online with my brand? And Justin, I would like to bring you in again and ask you, what made you want to have a direct access to a dashboard like this, and how should other people on this call, from brand management, from marketing, think about a CEO of an organization having direct access to what customers are saying?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, because what I'm looking to do in the CEOs I work with and with the brand teams when I meet them from time to time, the customer engagement teams, the customer recovery teams, is to have better quality conversations. So if I have this tool and I have my own ability to access the information, my own ability to go directly into seeing what customers are directly talking about, looking at that net sentiment score, then I've got a view from my standpoint as the chair of a business to be say, okay, well, this is how I'm interpreting the data and the sentiment based on our current performance, based on our current product strategy, based on our product marketing strategy, and how that's flushing back to our performance financially. And I think that increases the ability to have a better conversation with the operators in the business. If I don't have that information, they're going to have that information to themselves and they can put their lens over it. But from a strategic standpoint, from the board standpoint, from the chair standpoint, I will have certain things that I'm looking at the bigger picture, that I'm mapping back to performance on sentiment that may be slightly different, more evolved, long-term in thinking, that the actual day-to-day marketing teams may be looking at it from a different angle. So my objective of that is to be relevant, fast, and the ability to engage in the conversation, saying that I've seen the data, I saw this comment, you saw this comment, you saw this sentiment score. How do we want to discuss the current performance of the business and so forth? So the overriding arch is two things, Michaelis. One, the access to information. And I think everyone looking at raw data sometime or good summaries of data from different perspectives is very helpful. And then two, based on that the quality of conversation around what's happening in the business around customers can be elevated on that basis.
Thank you, Justin. So when you look at this brand health dashboard, so you can see where you rank as a brand in comparison with your competitors. And if you're trending down, if your net sentiment score is trending down, and if you maybe your volume is up, which is the worst case scenario, then you will want to know why. And so you can pick a brand here, in this case, Little Sleepies, and then you see the top 5 topics for which you get negative posts. Then you can click on one of those topics, for example, customer experience, and then see what the post was about. You can click on the link, and which will get you to where the post was found. And you see that there was a problem with the order. And in this case, Little Sleepies, actually, the customer care department responded. They're not necessarily very happy with the response. They responded. And so that's, we saw management use case at the beginning. This is on social kind of use case. And let me show you now something that we're really proud of. We call it Data Vinci. It is part of this brand health tracking dashboard, which you can get complimentary. At the end of this webinar, you will see a call to action where you can click and request. But Data Vinci is, you can think of it a little bit like ChatGPT, but it is focused on your data set, and you can ask it any question using plain language, like which post had the most likes, for example. Let me wake it up. Okay. One more time. This is a prototype, by the way. Which post had the most likes? Okay. So it curates my prompt so that it will understand it better, and hopefully it will provide an answer. All right. So it's giving me a post on TikTok. Again, TikTok. If you don't have an account and if you're not managing your image on TikTok, you better have a look at it. 156,000 likes with a post to this post with the most likes. I can ask another question. Which topics are the most popular in posts with positive sentiment? Let's see. So while this is coming up, Justin, what are your thoughts about a tool like this? Would that be useful to you and your marketing teams?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. Again, it can be broader in scope around high level thoughts around the brand. It can go to specific, more detailed requests. So again, it's very flexible. So the ability to go in and have different ideas researched or confirmations. And one of the most important things, Michaela, for me is not necessarily, and you and I have had these discussions before, sometimes new insights and gems of insights are so incredibly important. But for me, once we're implementing a strategy and we've agreed the budget, financial goals for the year, once we've agreed a marketing strategy, we've gone strategic, we've gone tactical. One of the most important things for me is validation. So I don't need new insights all the time. I need to know as I'm tracking through the financial performance of the year and the brand performance of the year and the sales performance. So the ability to move into questions with a dashboard and availability of information that is unstructured, moving into structured, allows strong validation that you're heading in the right direction, that things are on track, that customer engagement is good, or if you're looking for something more specific. So insights, gems of new understanding are crucially important, but equally important is the ability to validate your current marketing, your current product strategies, and the ability to ask direct questions about that and get the feedback through social media is highly valuable.
Great point. We data analysts and market researchers, we're always focused on discovering the gold nuggets, and we never think about what you just said, which is a very, very valid point. It can also serve as a way to validate your strategy. Before I go on with the last demonstration or exploration using Tableau, may I ask you, Slavika, to publish the last poll for our audience? And please remember that to type your questions in the chat box. And in the last 10 minutes coming up, Jakov will transfer those questions to Justin and I. I'll pause for a few seconds so that you can answer the poll. Okay, Jakov, am I okay to move on with the last exploration here?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, thank you. So I have unclicked all the product categories here and just clicked on women active wear. The product category is defined here by Lululemon, Gymshark, Just Drunk, Fine, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Sweaty Betty, I know this one. And you see that Lululemon has the biggest share of voice. You have the topics down here. Let's click on customer experience. I can click on Lululemon, which has the biggest share of voice, and maybe again on negative sentiment, just to see. I mean, Lululemon is a brilliant brand. What do people? So, just trying to find an interesting one. Something about the pricing here. Again, TikTok. You see, TikTok is here because they wear within a few months. And you know, some girls are giving her advice about the pair of pants, and And there are quite a few posts about the Lululemon pants being pricey. Yeah, we can also have a look at the query dashboard like we did before, and we can see that it is indeed difficult to keep a very high score for net sentiment score. The bigger the brand, the more difficult it is. So Lululemon is at 41, which is not that bad, but Just Strong, the smallest brand, has a net sentiment of 66%. Before we move on to the questions from you, last question from me to you, Justin, is so in general, when you think of this kind of data, the unsolicited customer opinion, this unstructured data, why do you want this data as a business in the fashion and luxury sector?
Yeah, the key in global businesses that are both mostly digitally driven, but also through traditional channels, you need to be completely relevant to what's happening in your brand today. And whether we like it or not, people believe people. So traditional understandings or reinforcement through marketing, reinforcement through social influences, reinforcing through traditional media, all still important to building a brand. But the most important channel of understanding is people believing people. So to having the most direct and transparent access to what people are doing, not only last week, but even yesterday in your business can be highly relevant and so important to confirm what you're doing, how you're doing it, and how you're presenting your brand and the continual refinements thereof. So we talked about validation. We've talked about new gems of insight that you want to implement into your strategies, but relevant information straight from the source, from different channels of social media globally, is a real advantage for a brand to have, because it does come down to data and using that data effectively in insights, whether you're performing very well to your plan or to your expectations, or certainly if you're not. So ultimately, Michaelis, people believe people. And this tool gives you the ultimate early access and direct access to know exactly what's happening. So you can continue with good strategy, or in some cases, actively get involved directly with customers to what we call the recovery or the resurrection of a situation. So, making a customer somewhere very happy because something has gone wrong, and using great recovery techniques is just as valuable as a silent customer still buying your product. A recovery of a poor experience, that person will talk to 10 people. This awareness can allow you to track into what's happening with your brand with customers all over the world in their language, but with your understanding.
Indeed, you're right. People believe people. And this is why micro-influencers and nano-influencers and celebrity influencers are becoming an integral part of marketing plans these days. And a tool like this can also help a business discover relevant influencers, but also evaluate them on how engaging are they and how much benefit do they bring to the brand. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. Yakov, I saw that there was a question. If you want to let us know what that was and what other questions there are for Justin and I.
Sure. So I think this first one's for you, Michaelis, from Martin. So social media engagement metrics, so likes and shares as an example, they're helpful, but they don't necessarily reflect the true reach of a comment or a post or an issue. For instance, in the Cart Baby example, the negative post might be limited in reach, whereas a critical article from a major news source would have a much bigger impact. So does DMR have the tools to account for reach through network size or otherwise? And can you model the likely impact of negative sentiment such as the speed of contagion of a negative topic or post?
Yes, that's a great question. So reach is very important. They used to say a few years back, I don't know if this is still true, that 1% of the people proactively post, 10% of the people online respond to those posts, and the other 90% just read. And so, yes, engagement is not the only metric that we should be looking at. Reach is very, very important, and absolutely, there are ways to count the views and know the reach of a negative sentiment post, for example. What is a bit more difficult to do is associate this negative sentiment post with an impact on revenue. And I was discussing this point with Justin the other day about how sentiment correlates with actual sales. We did a project on luxury watches, and we found out that there's perfect correlation between market share and share of voice on social. So even though it is more difficult to create those time series of sales compared to a time series of sentiment, there is evidence that they correlate. And I'll put Justin on the spot and ask him, what does that mean for a business? If the sentiment indeed correlates with sales, what does that mean?
Yeah. So I think it comes back to the whole validation point again. If my sentiment, if you start to build a time frame over 52 weeks or over a consistent period of time where your sentiment is tracking not only to your market share, but also to your direct sales plan. And if it's consistent, that's fantastic. What I'm looking for in that particular data set and correlation is any deviation. So if our sales start to decline, what is happening to our sentiment and what's happening to our market share? So again, it doesn't necessarily have to be new insight or incredible gems of information, just consistency of data towards our objectives in each of the brands I manage, alongside the position of our market share, alongside the sentiment score. And if that stays all consistent, then I'm going to be much more confident about what we're doing and it's working and it's resonating. If there starts to be deviation between sentiment, and it could be that even sentiment increases, but our sales sentiment, is it all positive? Is our new collections working? So there's a lot of practical discussions to be had. But I think in the first instance, Michaelis, it's about creating that data set of information, consistency over time. And if there's any deviation or any variance, that's where exploration can be from the operating teams to say, okay, what's happening here?
Yeah, thank you, Justin. I think we have reached the end of our allotted time. I believe the call to action has been available to you. So if you
yes,
want to,
and also if you haven't managed to submit it, we'll send you a follow-up email just to give you the opportunity one more time.
Indeed. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time and for helping us get this engagement medium to a place where we can use it in the future more and more and invite bigger audiences. We appreciate your time. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Michaelis. Thanks, Jaco. Bye now.
Thanks, Justin. Bye.